Lunchtime found the rally converging on Syria. For the drivers, a breather, and a chance for another quick polish. Of course, cars like these were designed to sweep up the gravel drives of mansions, slide to a halt in front of a grand hotel. The extreme flexibility of the engine can be easily demonstrated, and Louis Lescure derived much pleasure from watching people's faces as he just lifted the compression lever and let the magnificently maintained heart of his car tick over happily at under 100 revs per minute.
She doesn't want. She wants to rest.
But there's no rest for the ever-faithful band of pushers. The Quintanos are off again, and having a bit more luck as they set off with the rest of the convoy for Sigüenza than Tim Hewison, whose H6's pinion bearing had seized. The car was now on board the Grua, a backup truck trailing the rest of this exotic fleet. Lieutenant Commander Morin Scott, raconteur and former Hispano racer.
I had all mine in the 50s. My first one I bought for £45, the next two for £100, and the last one for £25. And then something went wrong, and I emigrated to Jamaica, and I ran out of money in crown wheel and pinions at the same time, and so I sold it for enough money to buy an Austin Princess and a Jeep, you know, even though it wouldn't go.
With the bells ringing out invitingly from the hilltop village of Medina Celi, it was decided it was time to take a break from the rally. The redoubtable commander, accompanied by the car's owner John Howell and society journalist Meredith Etherington Smith, just wandered contentedly. Must be siesta time, after which the commander, by his own admission, tends not to drive.
It's like, but it is like the African world, isn't it? Palazzo de las Duques de Medina. It's just it's a ducal palace.
Time to move on, and time to muse on the homecoming of this most prestigious mark.
You know, there's some pleasure in owning probably the finest motor car that's ever been made. The finest design, the best workmanship, everything that they did. I mean, in those days, it wasn't a question of throwing the thing together in a factory. They weathered the castings for 2 years before they actually machined them, that sort of thing, you know. Nobody can afford to do that today. They were not cheap. A chassis in the 20s cost about £2,500. You took it to a bodybuilder, and he would charge you about £1,500 to put a body on. So that was about £4,000. And after all, in those days, you could buy a very nice house for £1,000, which today would perhaps cost you £100,000. So you're talking of the equivalent of £400,000 in today's money.
The stopover in Sigüenza was taken within the walls of an 11th century castle, keep, crenellations and all. The locals had breached the portcullis and were swarming enthusiastically around this unlikely display, to the consternation of their proud owners. John Old had other matters on his mind.
These engines, the aircraft engines, were made just for sort of constant speed, not on, off, on, off. And when you take the foot off, it gets a load of oil and just fouls up the plugs every now and again. Just if you can get a decent burst, it'll come clean. But we're going into Madrid tomorrow, so I thought I'll give them a clean. There's 16 of them to do, that's the only thing.
Saturday morning, and the cars set off for the 80-mile drive into the capital. Most of the older cars were surviving remarkably well, but the Quintano's Alfonso, unrestored, let's be fair, had run into a number of mechanical problems. Elena and Juan maintained an air of calm dignity throughout, but they did seem destined to push the car all the way around Spain. On the outskirts of Madrid, I'd hitched a lift with Jean-Paul Dubroca, who's a pilot for Air France. Do you find this more relaxing than piloting a 747?
Yes. Well, anyway, I'm never stressed.
How old is she?
This is from 1921.
Beautiful. And designed by a boat builder, I think. When was this?
Yes, it's about like a boat.
Yeah. Was that done originally, or was it?
Yes, yes. Completely original.
Yeah. So somebody obviously enjoyed boating.
And it was restored to original condition.
Yeah.
Exactly the same color. Everything is original.
With a police escort that tended to err more to enthusiasm than expertise, we made our grand entrance into the city. So that we didn't get lost, we hung on enthusiastically to the car ahead, and many a red light passed imprudently behind us. The Quintano's Alfonso was up to his old tricks again. But they were determined not to be denied. And an exhilarating 30 minutes later, they and the rest of the caravan arrived at the Plaza Mayor. Who says the rain in Spain stays mainly on the plain? Luis, tell me something of your beautiful, beautiful vehicle.
Well, what do you want to know?
Well, I can see it's
It was
1918.
It was born in 1918, really, in Barcelona.
Barcelona.
Barcelona, yes. And this was one of the 2,000 cars built by Hispano-Suiza of this modern size. It was built between 16 and 1924. It was running in a private family. It was sold to the public office of Bordius, I think.
The Undertaker.
Undertaker, yes. Look at here. You will see, but very rarely, La Hispano-Suiza Barcelona,
Barcelona.
because most of the bodies were not manufactured in the factory. And it was built in 1918, and this was the Lux model. And it's a transition between the old ones and the new H6 Paris 1920.
That is very beautiful, isn't
Very
it?
beautiful.
Dashboard.
The dashboard,
Brass
yes.
and...
Yes, yes.
Ah.
Everything.
It's the enthusiasm of people like Louis de Villa Cascante that makes the owners, as far as I'm concerned, as interesting as the cars themselves. They're all characters. And none more so than Louis Lescure.
Stop! Stop!
You have no idea.
Is it okay?
You have no idea.
Is it okay?
How has it been for you so far then, monsieur? Au moment, BBC. Easy. How was your trip into Madrid? I'm surprised to see you here.
Qu'est-ce qu'il me raconte? Moi, je comprends rien.
Oh, mon Dieu.
Qu'est-ce que c'est que ce barouet qui raconte?
Ça
là?
va,
Il est quoi
le-
exactement comme origine?
Ça va, le trip
Hey.
à Madrid pour vous,
Eh, tu
monsieur.
peux pas parler comme tout le monde, non?
God, it's going to be hell in
Il
1992.
suffit de parler comme tout
Well,
le
we're all
monde.
going to have to talk like this in 1992. I mean, there are people
Il est
looking forward
gentil.
to it.
Il est gentil. You mean that you don't want any more the channel? The
Let
channel?
me help you down, poor foreigner. How old is this fine creature then?
Eh?
When was this built?
The body was built in 1929, beginning 1929.
And how long have you owned it?
I had it for now 35 years. It's a very old love affair.
It seems to be with everybody.
Yeah.
It's
In my case, yes.
It is
because-
passion, isn't it?
Because I discovered it, the value was zero. I found it a day before the scrapyard owner was coming to the garage and taking the car to the scrapyard.
How long did it take you to put it together again?
I was lucky enough to find a man the only man in charge of Hispano car in France after the war. And this car, in other words, this car has never been touched by any mechanist who was not a specialist of Hispano.